I recently was tipped about several fake Chinese films that are being made in the Netherlands and in Belgium. It might have been the recent success of films like The Farewell, Shang-Chi, Everything Everywhere All at Once that had caused this kind of trend. What I mean with a fake Chinese film, it is mainly a film that portrays itself as a Chinese movie, with the main language of the movie being Cantonese or Mandarin, while the director, scriptwriter, and the rest of the crew are non-Chinese speakers, which often result in a really bad Chinese movie in multiple ways. The first film that did this in the Netherlands is actually from 2004 and is called Fighting Fish, which is by far the worst kind of fake Chinese movie that I've seen. Heck, it even got a poster with Chinese written on it, though it is the names of the actors in Chinese, but it is not even placed in the right order. But also most of the actors on the poster only got a minor role in this feature film, especially the guy on the bottom only shows up for one scene and does not even speak. Another thing about this movie is that they didn't even try to write an original story. It basically stole the plot from Romeo Must Die that was released in 2000. I can literally show you some side-by-side scenes that happens in both of the movies. Both protagonists travels from Hong Kong to another country. Both attend the funeral of their brother, then tries to find out who has killed their brother, and also a biracial romance happens and both of them go out dancing and clubbing. And then a child member that is actually in the same gang as the protagonist is the actual murderer. And then a final fight scene happens that is quite similar. However, Fighting Fish didn't copy the characters from Romeo Must Die, but they copied them from another film called Young and Dangerous from Hong Kong. So you can see a knockoff Chan Ho Lam and a knockoff Lan Quan. However, there are several key differences that made Romeo Must Die a lot better. It didn't try to make a fake Chinese movie, it just made an American action movie that included Asians. Though it does contain scenes spoken in Chinese, but it does have a good reason for those. But the majority of the movie is spoken in English because it took place in the USA. While the actors in Fighting Fish spoke in a broken Cantonese most of the time, it didn't really have a good reason for that, and only a few scenes were spoken in English while the whole movie took place in the Netherlands. But also comparing the two movies with how they casted the Chinese actors who needed to speak in Chinese, Romeo Must Die literally hired Jet Li and Henry Oh, who are both from China, and we can hear how well they can speak Mandarin.
跟在马路上压死一只狗没什么区别。 你就会把谁缠住？
他知道的事儿太多，早晚会把我跟 Roth 的事儿给抖了出去，把咱们全毁了。
However, with Fighting Fish, they hired all the Asian actors locally. The worst of all is the main protagonist, A Ken, who should be somebody who's fresh off the boat from Hong Kong, but they casted Kim Ho Kim for that role, and it is kind of odd because he is Korean and can't speak Cantonese.
我唔信你。 我淨係想幫阿哥報仇。
And it's quite noticeable they limited how much he would speak in the entire feature film, as he spoke less than 2 minutes and rarely talks more than 1 sentences in Cantonese.
唔通就咁放棄？我一定會放棄。
While the other actors do most of the talking, so most of the shots you see him just looking bored listening to others talking. However, the actual Chinese actors weren't that great either, as most of them are second or third generation Dutch Chinese and have less affinity to China or Hong Kong. And especially the newer generations don't talk that much in Cantonese, they often have a hard time pronouncing the words correctly, and you can hear them misspeak words or sentences.
我知。
喺度搞事。
But also notable in the credits and the crew list, there isn't somebody who is a speech coach who would help them to pronounce the words better. However, they do have 2 Cantonese translators who translated the script to Chinese. However, they aren't scriptwriters and just straight translated each dialogue, without really making sure it is the way people should talk. Especially Chinese writing is not the same way as how people talk in Cantonese. Especially in Cantonese, there's quite a lot of words that are replaced when we talk. Like Lin here, played by Jennifer De Jong, she's saying,
你會了解咩?
This is a clearly written talk, but in a normal speech we would say, 你會知咩? So without the proper crew and especially having a director that can't speak the language nor having a proper speech coach, you would get these kind of issues. However, a simple way Fighting Fish could have avoided all the language problems was just to make everybody to speak Dutch and just make a Dutch movie with a large Asian cast instead of making a Chinese movie, because the movie was only released in the Netherlands anyways.
Wat weet je nou eigenlijk echt van hem? Genoeg. Ik weet genoeg.
They could have just changed the character Akan to be born in the Netherlands and just be working abroad in Hong Kong while his brother died. The other thing they could have done was to spend the $500,000 budget on casting actual actors from Hong Kong instead of spending money on famous Dutch actors for minor roles and just to fill the poster. However, changing it to Dutch only fixes the language issue. However, I cannot overlook the cultural issues, as it is quite noticeable that they didn't do enough research on the Chinese community in the Netherlands, as they portray that the Chinese hate mixed race relationships, while the actress who plays Lin is an actual mixed Asian herself, while in reality it is not frowned upon as the movie makes it out to be. Then looking at the funeral scene, it does not look like a proper Chinese funeral. It's quite unorganized and also they don't follow the correct procedures. While when we compare it with the funeral scene from Young and Dangerous, we can see how much more organized it is and how much better it looks. But also when Akan pays his respect to his brother, we can see that he doesn't do the correct procedure. He actually pulls out the incense from the bowl and bow with it, and that is not the way you should be doing it. While in Young and Dangerous, we can see that Chan Ho Lam gets like a new set of incense to bow with. But also comparing it a bit further, we can see how bored Akan is while he's paying his respect to his dead brother, while Chan Ho Lam is crying his eyes out with the death of his triad boss. But also, I don't know why there is a cartoon drawing at a funeral in 2004, because even in the Young and Dangerous funeral that happens in 1997, they got black and white photos. I think they might have taken inspiration of Fist of Fury, as that is the only movie I've seen a drawing at a funeral that is before 2004, but also that movie is set in 1910, which is a really old time where people don't have like the money to afford to get a photo taken. While in the modern times of 2004, most people have some sort of film or digital camera at home. It is quite clear that both scriptwriters Jamal Atahe and Kim Ho Kim don't have the affinity with the Chinese Asian community in the Netherlands and also don't understand the culture nor have researched enough to be writing the script for such a movie. But also making Asians only able to speak Chinese while they are living in a country outside of China makes no sense, because in the last 100 years or more, people have been settling down abroad in different countries and having multiple generations after that, and mainly a lot of them have learned the local language and also can speak the language perfectly fine. Somehow in the Netherlands they still want to portray Asians to be fresh off the boat and only able to speak Chinese, instead of that there are a lot of Asians and Chinese walking around that can speak Dutch perfectly fine. I hope people have learned from the mistakes that Fighting Fish have made and do better in the future when making a movie with a large Asian cast that is sourced locally. I hope you found this an interesting video, and if you do, please hit that like button. If you're new to this channel and want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!